Hey, this is Scott Wenkibowitz from Photocrati, and I'm here with Rosh Sillars. Today, I wanted to talk to Rosh because he brought something up to the photography industry that is a very interesting topic about pricing yourself to clients, of how you price your services, your photography services to clients. Um, this is not necessarily like the actual printing of things, it's just the actual shooting process services. And it's basically, he calls it per image pricing, and it's a really neat concept, and it's actually one that I'm in the process of exploring and having a conversation with Rosh about ways to approach it and to change my own method for my freelance photography business. So I asked Rosh to talk with me on a Google Plus Hangout on air to share with the Photocrati community about another way you can approach how you price your services. So, Rosh, why don't you introduce yourself? You're actually in our Supercharger photography website ebook. So if anybody has not downloaded that yet, please do, because you'll hear a little bit from Rosh from that. But Rosh, please introduce yourself to the Photocrati community.
Well, first of all, Scott, thanks for having me here. It's always fun to talk about these things to help and support, other photographers. I am a photographer. I'm also a marketing person. I own two companies. One's a photography company. One is a marketing company, Image3, and the Rosh Group. And my degree's in photography, so it's not like I don't know the photo community. I've been doing this a long time, and I've written books on the topic. I speak on the topic, and I just love sharing and educating, and so that's why we're here together, obviously. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to share some business ideas, and per image pricing is the topic of today, and that's always a good one. Always very controversial sometimes, but let me tell you, it's helped me survive in Detroit, and it's a good place to for those of you who are saying it won't work where you live. Folks, I'm in Detroit. so again, thanks, Scott, for having me.
Years ago, I was in a band and we did a bunch of touring, and I actually toured up to Michigan. It wasn't in Detroit. It was another city. It was a smaller city, I think. Don't remember the name exactly, but I remember that we got there and there was nobody around. It was pretty empty. So
welcome.
Welcome to Michigan. So most photographers, they, including myself, have always priced by a bundle using some sort of package or a day rate, some sort of flat fee. And per image pricing takes a completely different approach. Why don't you tell everybody what that is all about?
Well, the bottom line is that a day rate. Now, I don't have a problem with package pricing. In a big package that is, as long as it's, because you can incorporate a lot of different things. And the thing is, if you give a good package price, if you're efficient, you do a good job, you may make more money still. And you can still, even with that package price, add additional stuff. Say if you're a wedding photographer, sell additional products. So there's nothing wrong with the package price, but the day rate, it's all about your time. And that's not what we're selling. We're selling photographs. We're selling images. And we need to put the value on the image, not our time. So that's where I get to the whole idea of per image pricing. And one of my favorite, and I use this example all the time, and I'll share it with you right now. One of my favorite examples that I like to share is that, hey, let's say somebody comes to us, and a lot of this is more commercial, corporate kind of photography versus, say, families. But I've done this for families and I've done this for weddings, and if you put the right package together and do it well, it can be done, and it does work very well. But we'll kind of assume that this is more the commercial and editorial, maybe, well, maybe not even editorial, but advertising and marketing kind of work that you'll do maybe for a website or things like that. So someone comes to you with a website, they want 10 photographs. And you say, hey, great. Sake of argument, $2,000, $500 for my expenses and $1,500 for my day rate. And of course, they're thinking, $1,500. I don't make $1,500. Now, if they've hired photographers before, they may be familiar with it, but a lot of times they are not. So they're thinking, can't you do it for $15 an hour? You know, I've had people say that. You know, why can't you have a job like mine? You know, $25 an hour. And well, because I don't work every day. I don't. You know, most photographers don't work every day. And so there's a lot of time afterwards. There's the processing, all that stuff. So you need to consider all the elements. And when you say a day rate, $1,500, you're not including, well, the way we did it before. There's a lot of pre-production, but very little post-production in photography, especially with film. Today, it's more post-production. You know, taking the images doesn't take us as long as it used to. And we can do a lot of adjustments in a lot of our work in post, and that takes sometimes days from the half a day that you worked. So you charge for half a day and work for 2.5. Excellent. So let's say you offer them the day rate and you get done at 1. What is it that they want? Well, they probably want a discount because you base it on the day. So you're punished for your efficiency, which is very common in digital photography. And so you need to think of it and just kind of turn your head around on this and say, okay, instead of $2,000 for the day, let's just call it $200 a shot. That's easier for someone to get their head around. Okay, they're not looking at $2,000, they're looking $200, and they can see the value of that image. And let's say you get done at 1 o'clock. Now what do they want? Nothing. They're thrilled. It's not based on your time. It's based on the value of each image. And you can give them, they can select all 10, and life is good. But say you did the $2,000 thing, and they say, wow, we're done at 1. Let's keep going. Let's push through the day. Let's take a whole bunch more images. Great. Now you've worked really hard, and hey, you may have a happy client, but you are not rewarded for your great work. So if you do it per image and you're done at 1 o'clock and say, hey, we have a few more ideas, or a few more people came in for their portraits. We didn't think they were going to be here today, but there are 5 more people. Okay, great. Well, I'm happy to take those pictures. And I'm happy to do it versus you got done, you told me it was 10, we're done, and now you have 5 more, and I'm feeling like, oh, man, I wanted to go. So your attitude is totally different. Your attitude's wrong. You're not enthusiastic about helping your client because you could make more money. And if they know it's per image, well, of course, then they know they're going to be paying more, and there's no obligation. So the advantages are the client has control of their budget. I like to share that I'm a low-risk photographer, meaning they don't have to pay for anything if they don't like anything I do. And that is half the battle. A lot of times they're just scared. When they see this $2,000 number and they're taking a risk on you, they've never hired a photographer before, the last one really messed up, or their job is on the line, and you say, you know what, if I don't do the job, we'll do it again until I get it right, and it's not going to cost you anymore. That puts them at ease. They know they're hiring a good photographer who has confidence in their work, and not only that, I better do a good job, because if I don't, they're not going to pay for their work. And so everybody's winning in this scenario. You're getting paid more because quite often if you're a really good photographer and they needed 10 images, chances are they'll pick 12, 15, and now your $2,000 job just turned into a $3,000 job. So there are a lot of advantages to this for both the client and the photographer. So that's kind of the basic spiel.
Yeah. So Rosh and I were talking earlier, right before we started the broadcast, and what I'm finding, and what I think others who are going to try this approach are going to find, is it really comes down to finding out the best way to explain what Rosh just explained in your own words to your clients. What works best for you to explain this methodology of why it's best for the client, really, in the end, to go with this approach. And so that's one of the things that I plan on working on in the next few weeks is coming up with this, because I just got an offer or an email from a potential client to photograph a pretty big job, and pricing it out as a per image pricing, it actually came out with, I had two options. One was a little below my day rate, and one was a little above my day rate. So hopefully they go with the one that's right above my day rate, and it's a win-win all around because they're getting the exact images they want without wasting anybody's time, and I'm actually making more money on, you know, being as productive as I possibly can because I'm not overshooting and I'm not, you know, wasting their time or my time. I'm getting the job done and getting it processed and getting it delivered. So
you know, yeah, the thing is, you know, that you can use a day rate as part of your calculation, and you should be as part of the cost of doing business. Figure out what is your cost of doing business, figure out how much you want to make each year, use the calculators online, and figure it out. And then, you know, so if you're more used to figuring out versus day rates, you know, that's fine. Figure out what your day rate is. You're comfortable. They ask for 10 images. Your day rate's $1,200. Then divide it by 10. $120 an image. I'm not trying to tell you how much. I'm not telling you have to charge. I've charged as much as $2,000 an image. I regularly charge $1,000 an image for some projects for certain clients. But there are some that could not afford more than $150 an image. But it's different usage. It's different. You know, different clients have different budgets and different needs. So you have to obviously figure it out and use that day rate to help calculate, because especially if you're used to it. But then divide it out, and if they buy more because you did a great job, awesome. Yeah, and you still feel comfortable because you're using a number that you're used to.
Yeah, the licensing aspect really comes into the calculation of it, because if they're planning on using it for, you know, a mailer to just the one town that this client is in, then it's going to be priced lower than if they're using it for a major advertising campaign.
Right, because they're going to make more money off of it.
Yeah. So with that said, this is a really good segue into your pricing calculator. Let me share my screen real quick for everybody. This one. Actually, I can just share that one browser screen.
There we go.
Okay, hold on a second. It looks like my computer is yelling at me to...
Okay, well, we see it. At least
you did see it. Okay, good. I just had to, security permissions I had to enable. Okay, so this is Rosh's new per image pricing calculator. It's at rosh.com/digital pricing. And Rosh can explain how this is, but let me actually clear this out. It's a pretty cool calculator that he created with a very big explanation, instructions that I wound up using for this one particular potential job to get an average of where I should price per each image in my quotes, but then I use my day rate to sort of adjust based, you know, away from what the calculator said, more to fit my own pricing. So, Rosh, why don't you talk a little bit about the pricing calculator?
Sure. First of all, it's very obvious that I'm a photographer because I can code, but I can't design that well. So for all my design friends out there, forgive me. I have sinned. But here you go. It's practical. So using our 1997 style looking calculator, it works like it's 2014. And what you do is, you know, first of all, you need to figure out what your production level is. And there are ways you can go about that. There are other calculators out there, but you need to figure out what is your general day rate and and how much you want to make each day and so forth, or how much you need to make each day. And I have a systemology that I mentioned in there that, you know, you divide, you know, all of your expenses and how much you want to make and divide it by 50 or whatever the number is. If you do 100 jobs a year, divide it by 100. If you do 50, great. If you're brand new, do it by 25. And chances are you're going to be quite surprised by how much you need to make each year. And so what you do is you can start off by going to put the photos per day at 1 and use your... I like to use the local setting under photography use. And then, you know, just hit the per image. And one photo a day at local use is 250. Okay. Well, excuse me. That's for personal.
Yep.
Let's see. Do I say put it on 10 or 1? Um,
Default position is 10 photographs per day or 1 photograph per hour based on a 10-hour day.
okay, there you go. So then you can, okay, there you go. So then you can figure out, actually, no, if I do one, okay, no, it is one. Okay, forgive me. I haven't touched this thing in a few days. So yeah, you'd put it on one photo. You're right, default position's 10, but put it on one photo.
Mm-hmm.
And this is to help you figure out what production level you want. So if you have it on 1 photo per day, local use, and then put it on Pro 1. So production level Pro 1. And you'll see it's $2,500. So if that matches what you need to make per day based on your calculation, that's great. Maybe for you, it's it's Pro no studio, and that's a little lower number. So you keep that's $1,750. Maybe you figured out, okay, I do 100, just sake of argument, I do 100 jobs a year, and I need to make at least 1,500 a day. So then you can go down to maybe semi-pro, which is at $1,250. You can figure it out based on that. So now you know the number that you need to work with, or the production level you need to work with when you figure out your calculations in the future. And that's very helpful. So don't use the, look, if amateur 2 is your number, that's your number. Don't worry about it. I just try to give a generality. I mean, I could have just said, photographer level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't worry about that. Yep. Just find the one that's right for you, and then start figuring out per day. Then, of course, local, usage based on, national, international, friends and family, because obviously you don't want to charge friends and family an outrageous amount of money. But, if they have some money, charge them, and charge them per image. Really, it does work. Because that way you're not doing a day-long event for them for $25. Yep. It's these kinds of things that really can destroy a photographer because they just can't say no to friends and family. Yep. So, and then also your copyright, if you want to charge a premium, if someone wants to purchase the copyright, you should charge a premium because you have now lost the right to your image, and that costs money. And that is a value. And I'd like to say this. A lot of people say, oh, my copyright really is not a value to me. I'm just happy to give all that to them. And here's the thing. You need to ask yourself, if your copyright wasn't valuable, why are they asking for it?
Correct.
It's pretty much that simple.
Yep.
There is value. If there really wasn't any value to it, then they wouldn't be asking at all. So make sure you charge for it. I like to charge anywhere from 50 to 100% for mine. We just did this the other day. We had a client that turns out they ended up charging. It was an event, and we ended up doubling what we were originally going to receive because they decided they wanted all of the rights to the images. And we said, well, yeah, we'll have to charge you 100%. They're like, okay. So
yeah, I mean,
you just have to.
Yeah, it's some clients, the job is important enough to spend the kind of money to buy the copyright.
Right. But most people don't need to buy a copyright. Sometimes they just were told they had to, and sometimes you just have to figure out what the pain point is. Sometimes they just buy the copyright because some, mean photographer a few years ago, really, messed with them somehow, which didn't help out, in a way that wasn't very nice. Maybe it was technically right, but not very, ethical when it comes down to it. They just tried to pull, some, minor copy in their contract out that was very minor, and darn it, or they pre-published something. They sold it to somebody else. That's a better example. They sold their image to somebody else before, that company actually published it. Or, there are a lot of different ways photographers have really messed things up, and not being ethical. So they think they have to own the copyright. I like to say, look, the only reason to own the copyright is if you plan on reselling that image to make a profit. And that's rarely the case. So find out. I'll often ask the question, okay, why do you feel you need to buy it? Sometimes it's, they say, well, it's just in the language. You say, well, I like a work for hire contract. I just say, oh, well, I don't sign those. It's amazing how many times you say, okay, well, just cross that out. Or, they'll say, well, I'll ask, how long is your campaign? And they'll say, well, it's 2 years. Do you plan on using these images more than 2 years? Oh, we never use them beyond that. You say, well, okay, I'll give you unlimited usage for 3.
Right.
Now you're covered.
Yep.
And I promise that you have first use. I will not use these images. So, those kinds of things. Or I have another client. I can't use them for anything. They do own all the copyrights. They do resell them. It's very important to them. They pay a lot of money for it. And, but I do have an agreement. After 6 months, I can use the images in my portfolio once everything is published and used. So, you can work things out. And with that calculator, there are a lot of different areas in terms of, different. You can use all these different elements: assistance, production team, equipment rentals, post-production. Make sure you put your post-production in there for your, make sure that everything is getting covered.
Yep.
And you can don't have to take this calculator absolutely at face value. Just make it work for you. Good. The main thing is that you have a place to go. When someone calls you and you're like, what do I do? Because it happens to all of us. It kind of catches us off guard. We're not quite sure. At least you have a place to go. You've tested it out, and you have a number that's put in front of you, and you can increase or decrease it based on your experience.
Yep. And you've made this pricing calculator free, which,
yes,
I mean, it's very valuable for the price that you're making it. So,
it's free.
It's free. So there's
here's
no
payment.
reason
Link to it.
Yeah. There's no reason why anybody should not utilize this. And
yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
In the calculator, you even link to an article you wrote. Let me share my screen once more.
Yep.
You link to an article that you wrote that. Content unfound. The link is broken.
Uh-oh.
Let's unshare the screen.
Oh, wow. It's gone. No, it's gone on my end, too. I wonder what happened.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Yep.
That's really, really weird.
I'm seeing it. It's just the link must have changed.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
You know what? It's something. Might be using a plugin that's forcing a trail slash, but when you put the trailing slash at the end, it works.
Oh.
So you just have to change the link.
Okay. I guess I have to fix that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me share the screen once more. Okay. So here is Rosh's article that he links to. He's going to update this. The link right here in his calculator. We'll link you to the article on his website, on his blog, that he talks even further about all of this. So I'll also link to this in the Photocrati article when I share this, and in the email when I share this. But it's a pretty long article where he goes into detail. There's some comments. Definitely start reading those comments and contribute with comments as well, because there's a lot of good discussion going around on this topic. I think. Stop sharing the screen. Okay, I think Rosh started a good discussion in the industry that this is not the way to go for everybody, but it is an alternative method that works really well for him and for many others. So
yeah, I use it because I make more money. Bottom line. And clients come back and they're comfortable. They know it. And some clients know they end up paying a little bit more. They know it. But they come back because they're comfortable with the system. They know it's going to be done right, and that's half the battle. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times people do not want to pay high prices because they don't trust. They're scared. And once you can relieve that fear, you can charge. I mean, quite often budgets are higher than you think. And if you present value there, then you're good to go. So yeah, that one area that I say a lot of people don't really necessarily have to go the permit pricing route is certainly events. Events, look, you can be highly productive at an event, but you're not getting out early. So, you can still do the permit pricing, but that's an option. If you really have this system down, and I've been doing it for so many years that, yeah, when I was doing weddings, I haven't done a wedding in quite a while, but I did do a few weddings using that system. I do use it for portraits all the time. It's a good way to use it for family stuff. Have a basic package and say, hey, you're going to get this image, this image, this image. Here's your package. It's a few $100, and if you like more of what I did, you have the option to purchase more. and even if it's $35, if they have an extra $350 in their pocket, help them spend it. And that's quite one of the neat things I find about per image pricing is that you can help your client spend their entire budget, and you are never necessarily wrong. You're not, sometimes I'll say, oh, I figure, okay, they probably have about $1,000 to spend, and they want 10 images. Okay, it's $100 an image, just sake of argument. Well, I was wrong. They had $1,500. Okay, so they ended up buying 15 images. The bottom line is I got the full budget, and there I'm happy. So, yep. That's not perfect system, and I'm sure somebody's yelling at me right now. But that idea that you want the full budget, has been very helpful.
Yep. Cool. Well, I know that I'm going to be, as I said, reworking my whole system of how I'm doing this, and because I get a lot more commercial inquiries than I do personal inquiries, so the per image pricing will work so much better for the commercial aspect of what I do, and I really hope that the photocarding community that watches this and is interested in this starts really thinking about it, trying your calculator, speaking with you in the blog comments, and hopefully they reach out to you, and maybe they hire you to help them further, as well. So.
Well, hey, if there are groups that need a speaker, I always speak on these topics. So, I'm always open to that. Have me come talk about this topic. A lot of times people have me come talk, social media marketing. But this is a topic I really have a lot of passion on, and yeah. I'm always happy to speak to groups on.
You speak at ASMPs a lot, right? Is it?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's a big one for me. I've been a chapter president a couple of years. I've worked with the national board on a lot of projects. And I believe in ASMP a lot. Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
And you've written just a few books on in the photography industry.
Yeah. Well, I have 4. I have 4 books out. I wrote my first one with Lindsay Adler on social media digital marketing for photographers, and that was It was called Linked Photographer. And a few more. What?
It's somewhere back
there. Yeah. And then a couple books for Wiley on the Canon series, the T4i and T5i. So it's been a good deal. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Looking for my next project. I did 2 books in 1 year, so I'm good on the book thing for a little while. So I'm just kind of working through my next concept.
Yeah, cool. Well, again, if anybody wants to find Rosh, where can they find you?
RoshSillars.com. RoshSillars.com is great. You can certainly Google me if you can't find me, you're not looking. Twitter is a great place to connect with me, and in my email. It's real easy. You're always welcome to use it. It's my name, Rosh@Rosh.com.
Yep. And again, his pricing calculator is Rosh.com/digital pricing. And he's also a contributor in the Photocard ebook, as I mentioned, which is free. So please definitely download that as well. I'll link to that also. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Rosh, for chatting. And I'm going to stop the broadcast in a second.